Before the X-Men, before Magneto, before even Apocalypse, there were others, long forgotten, buried in myth, but their blood still flows in every mutant today. Long before the modern world, in an age of gods and monsters, a new kind of being emerged, not through magic, not through gods, but through evolution. They weren't called mutants yet. They were simply different, feared, worshipped, hunted. Some called them demons. Others called them gods. But they were neither. They were the first mutants. And their story begins not in a lab, not in a school, but in fire, bone, and shadow. Let's go back, tens of thousands of years ago, back when early humans roamed the wilds of Earth, when survival meant strength, cunning, or something more. In scattered tribes, stories began to spread, of people with strange gifts. A boy who could control the wind, a girl whose skin hardened into stone, a man who never died, no matter how many wounds he suffered. They weren't always born heroes. Most were killed as children by their own kind. Too strange, too dangerous, too cursed. But some survived, and those who did became legends. The world wasn't ready for them, so they hid, or ruled, or were hunted. Some lived alone, becoming whispers in the forests, myths passed down in terrified lullabies. Others took power, using their abilities to become kings, prophets, and tyrants. These early mutants didn't know what they were. They had no name for their kind. But their DNA held something special, something rare. The X gene. A genetic code, buried deep, that would one day spark the birth of heroes and villains alike. But this was the beginning. One such legend comes from the distant lands of Sumeria, where clay tablets tell of a being called Euarmonius, the Fire Walker, who could not be burned. He ruled for over 100 years. And when enemies tried to burn him alive, he laughed and walked through the flames untouched. Another tale comes from ancient South America, where the Sky Daughter could vanish into thin air and appear in another place. The tribe worshipped her as a goddess. She vanished one day and was never seen again. But not all ancient mutants were worshipped. Most were feared. Those who lived near them either bowed or bled. Many of these early mutants never knew each other. Their powers appeared in scattered bloodlines, like sparks in the darkness. But over time, those sparks would grow. Unseen by history, hidden behind myths, a secret bloodline formed. The first generation of true mutants, stronger, more powerful, and more united than before. They called themselves the Ancients. They believed their gifts were not accidents, but destiny. That they were the next step. And humans? Just the beginning. It was a dangerous belief. Some ancients wanted peace. They believed humans and mutants could live together. Others wanted dominance. They believed the world belonged to them. The war between these two visions would shape the future of mutant kind for millennia. But before that war could begin, something darker awakened. A child was born in a desert land, a child unlike any before, and his name would become legend. The child was born in the sands of ancient Egypt. His skin was gray, his eyes black as obsidian. He didn't cry. He only stared, cold, silent, watching. They named him En-Sabah-Nur, the morning light, but his birth was no blessing. It was a warning. He was the first confirmed mutant in all of recorded history. Born with power already flowing through his veins. He didn't awaken into his abilities. He was born evolved. And he would become known by another name, Apocalypse. He grew faster than normal children. Stronger, smarter. He could control his body, reshape his form, heal from any wound. But more than that, he felt something. A hunger. A belief that only the strong should survive. That evolution must be earned through pain, through war, through dominance. To him, weakness was a disease. Mercy a lie. The tribe that raised him feared him. And when he became too powerful, they tried to bury him in the sand. But he survived. He always survived. Years later he returned, not as a boy but as a god. his body massive, armored by bioorganic cells. His voice deep, his eyes glowing with ancient fire. He destroyed the very people who raised him. And with that, Apocalypse's rule began. But he didn't want just power. He wanted followers. He called to the other early mutants, the ones hiding in shadows, ruling tiny kingdoms, living like ghosts. He offered them purpose. Those who joined him became his 4 horsemen, each chosen for their strength and their loyalty to his vision of mutant supremacy. War, famine, pestilence, death. Together, they swept across the ancient world, toppling empires, enslaving humans, hunting down weaker mutants to force evolution or eliminate them. And yet, Apocalypse saw no enemies among men. Only insects, tools, and sometimes experiments. For Apocalypse was not only strong. He was ancient, cunning, obsessed with change. He began using celestial technology, left behind by cosmic beings far older than Earth. Machines that could enhance his power, prolong his life, and remake mutants in his image. He wasn't just a ruler. He was evolution incarnate. But even gods have enemies. The ancients who believed in balance rose to stop him. Mutants who didn't want domination but coexistence. They gathered in secret. And among them was a woman named Genesis. She was a powerful telepath. Some say she could control emotions. Others say she could bend light itself. But one thing was certain. She was the first to stand against Apocalypse. And live. Their battle lasted 7 days. It shook the desert, cracked the sky, and tore the land open. In the end, Genesis disappeared. Apocalypse was weakened, but not defeated. He went underground, into hibernation, waiting for the next age, the next test. And as centuries passed, stories of him became myth. But the bloodlines he touched, the technology he used, the ideas he planted, all of it would echo through time. The Brotherhood, the X-Men, Krakoa, even the Sentinels, all of them are pieces of his legacy. Because the question was never who will survive. It was always, who deserves to. Apocalypse believed only the strong could shape the future. But in every age, that belief would be challenged by those who chose compassion over conquest, unity over domination. Yet in the end, the truth remains. Mutants did not begin in a school. They began in war, in sand, in blood, in shadow, and the first among them still waits, watching, believing that one day the world will burn again, and from the ashes he will rise.